After 6 weeks of continuous, devastating aerial bombings, the conflict with Iran has finally moved to the water. The United States military has formed a strict naval blockade across the Strait of Hormuz, deliberately cutting off the primary artery for Iranian global trade. President Donald Trump claims the maneuver is a matter of strict national security. The administration argues that closing the strait is the only effective way to prevent Tehran from extorting the international community. This escalation directly follows the collapse of recent peace negotiations in Pakistan. With diplomacy stalled, Washington has opted for a campaign of total economic warfare. The objective here relies less on explosive firepower and more on financial strangulation. The path to victory now depends entirely on which nation has the economic endurance to outlast the other. But choking off a major global energy supplier carries an immediate domestic cost. American drivers are feeling the impact right at the pump. In Washington, fuel has surged to nearly $6 a gallon. That spike directly contradicts the administration's core campaign promises to cut energy bills and lower the cost of living for American voters. The White House is calculating that voters will accept this burden as a necessary trade-off, betting heavily on a strategy of short-term pain for long-term gain. This diagram illustrates two timelines ticking down concurrently: Iran's rapidly depleting oil economy, and the declining patience of the American consumer. With the strait closed, they are on a collision course, a massive geopolitical game of chicken, testing which economy will break first. To understand Iran's timeline, we have to look at how the blockade actually functions. The U.S. Navy isn't physically boarding every single commercial vessel. Instead, they rely on military deterrence and soaring maritime insurance premiums to keep international buyers away. This chart tracks Iran's oil exports. Before the blockade, Iran moved 1.5 million barrels a day. Now, that number has plummeted to zero. Converted to revenue, the Iranian government is bleeding $276 million every single day. Because the oil has nowhere to go, it is piling up in domestic storage facilities, and that physical infrastructure has strict limitations. Industry analysts estimate that Tehran has roughly 11 days of storage space remaining. Once those tanks are full, engineers will be forced to shut down the active oil wells entirely, risking permanent damage to the equipment. That tight 11-day window sets a hard, non-negotiable deadline. It pits the absolute physical limits of Iran's oil infrastructure against the crushing weight of the U.S. siege. Over in the United States, the timeline looks very different. While Wall Street has seen a temporary tech-driven rally, the broader economic foundation shows clear signs of cracking. Elevated fuel and shipping costs are creating a ripple effect across the supply chain. Businesses are passing expenses directly onto consumers, driving up food prices and wiping out disposable income. This steady erosion of purchasing power creates a strict deadline for the White House, especially with highly contentious midterm elections rapidly approaching. The strain also extends far beyond American borders. The International Monetary Fund has issued stark warnings, stating a prolonged conflict in the strait could slash global growth and trigger a severe worldwide downturn. By weaponizing global trade, Washington wields a dangerous double-edged sword. To break Iran's economy, the administration risks triggering the exact domestic recession they actively campaigned to avoid. This conflict pits two vastly different strategic advantages against one another. The United States commands unmatched global financial leverage, while Iran brings decades of deep institutional resilience. This map highlights one of Tehran's survival mechanisms, a vast network of floating oil storage vessels hiding off the coasts of Malaysia and China. Combined with tactics learned during the 1980s, like printing fiat money to cover domestic shortfalls, Iran knows how to endure severe isolation. Beijing serves as a massive geopolitical wildcard in this equation. China has openly condemned the U.S. blockade as irresponsible behavior, and they maintain the capacity to act as a vital economic lifeline for Tehran. Washington has set a maximalist goal, demanding sweeping concessions by pushing Iran's economy toward total collapse. Tehran's strategy is much simpler: absorb the damage, delay the timeline, and wait out the American political cycle. The Strait of Hormuz has been turned into an instrument of mutual economic destruction. Victory in this war belongs not to the military with the strongest navy, but to the nation willing to stomach the highest degree of suffering.